Now, the situation in KwaZulu-Natal and Adams Mission, where 2 people died, they lost their lives after the heavy rains. A mud bank that their house was built on collapsed. The MEC for Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs in KwaZulu-Natal is the IFP's Reverend Thulisizwe Buthelezi. MEC, good afternoon to you, and thank you very much indeed for your time. It's been very, very intense rain in parts of KwaZulu-Natal. We've seen these 2 people losing their lives. Are you worried that more people could lose their lives as a result of this rain there?
Thank you very much, Stephen, and all the viewers at home. Really starting on a very somber note to extend our condolences to the families that lost loved ones in Wamakhuta. A total of 6 people have passed away since last night due to the heavy rains in Durban, especially in areas like Umlazi, Wamakhuta, Ispingo, where even 3 family members lost their lives when the house collapsed on top of them, and others through a mudslide, and a young child who was swept away by a river in Eshowe. And all these issues again pose, and point us to the threats posed by climate change, particularly in KwaZulu-Natal, as it is clear now that we are a disaster-prone province, and we need to double our efforts to mitigate the impacts of this disaster.
It's such a difficult situation. Are you able to offer much support to the families of those who died at this stage?
Well, our rescue teams have been on the ground since this morning to try and retrieve the bodies, also using heavy machinery to try and remove the rubble. We will be also visiting the affected families. But all of this, Stephen, points to the fact that as government, we need now to start investing in climate change resilient infrastructure. And all our efforts going forward need to be enhanced by technology so that our people avoid those areas which would put them at risk.
So, I mean, this is one of the problems in KwaZulu-Natal, particularly around eThekwini. A large number of people are really forced to live on hills. They live in shacks there. Some are more solid than others. This is an impossible situation to resolve. People want to live there, and you don't want to force them to move away.
Well, that is why, Stephen, this morning we have signed various MOUs with social partners, ranging from the South African Red Cross Society to Old Mutual to Alimdad, so that we coordinate our efforts as the private sector and as government to respond to this crisis. Because, people get offered temporary shelter, but they go back and rebuild, their houses in areas where they are not supposed to build. We now hope that the signing of the MOUs will be able to consolidate our resources as government, and for us to engage the private sector who have the necessary expertise and technology to assist us in our efforts to mitigate the impact of climate change.
So, I mean, there's a big debate around climate change. As you know, some people believe it's not happening, but in KwaZulu-Natal, we see more and more flooding. As national government, the provincial government, international governments, is this something we now need to take a lot more seriously? It does seem, and I'm sorry to say this, that your province in particular is going to have real problems with flooding in the future for a long time.
Well, as KwaZulu-Natal, we don't have the luxury of theorizing about climate change. We are casualties of climate change because we feel the effects on a daily basis. And what is important now going forward is our response is diverting the necessary resources, but most importantly is awareness, so that our people are aware how to protect themselves, but also how to avoid the areas which would give them a high level of exposure.
MEC, you may feel that this is an inappropriate moment to ask this question. I respect that if you do, but obviously you've been in the news for all sorts of other reasons recently, particularly to do with your relationship to King Msizulu KwaZulu-Natal. Are things okay now, if I can put it like that? I'll understand if you would rather not discuss it.
Well, the king has just sent me tomorrow. There's an imbizo of Amakosi in the province, and over the past few weeks, the king has been giving me various assignments, so I still continue to operate with all the duties and obligations which the king assigned to me as prime minister. So we enjoy a very cordial and a very, very good relationship, and nothing has changed on my side.
Okay, so you're still performing the same functions and roles you did before it was reported that he had removed you from the post?
Yes.
It must be very distressing to see all of the public commentary about it.
Well, we are not distracted by the public commentary. To serve the king is not an easy task, because many people, not now, but from 1994, have always salivated for the collapse of the Zulu kingdom and for the emasculation of the roles, powers, and functions, not only of the king, but of traditional leaders. So I was under no illusion that in executing my duties, I would attract all sorts of detractors. But I continue to perform my functions, and even tomorrow, I will be performing my functions in the meeting between His Majesty and Amakosi.
MEC, I appreciate you answering my questions on that, but more importantly as well, thank you for speaking to us about the situation regarding the flooding. The Cooperative Governance MEC in KwaZulu-Natal, the Reverend Tulisizwe Buthelezi, you heard him also, of course, speaking about his role in relation to the King of the Amazulu people. Well, let's continue.